Hi, welcome to Hifi Addiction. Wanted to show you today how to set up your turntable once you've received it from us, because in a lot of cases we will have deconstructed the deck to safely transport it to you. So typically things that will be removed will be things like the counterweight that will be on the back of the arm, the platter and the belt in this case. The lids we actually, as you'll have found, we package them actually on the deck, and we found that that's the best way of doing it. But I wanted to just run through balancing the arm, setting up the anti-skate and getting your deck running. So the first thing that you want to do is balance the arm on the deck, and that's best done without the platter in place, particularly with the cartridge if it's not got a protective cover, as this one doesn't. So you're going to bring that over. In fact, firstly, you're going to put the counterweight in place. That'll be with the gauge at the front. Doesn't matter what it reads, you'll find it lock into place, and then you can turn it to adjust it forward and back. So now we're just going to balance that, and it can sit here. And initially, all you're trying to do is get the arm floating naturally. So if you take it right to the top, it's high. Obviously, the opposite if you're turning it in. So all we're looking for at the moment is for it to float nicely. Fine, that's fine. Pop that back in there, and then you want to adjust this gauge here, which moves. The counterweight itself can be fixed, and the gauge on the front moves, so you can just move that by hand, and you want to set that to 0 with this line here. Once you've done that, you're going to be setting the actual tracking force to whatever the cartridge is, and in this case we're looking at about 1.7 grams. So you literally turn this that way, you it on half a gram, 1, 1.5, 6, 7, and that will now give you a correct tracking force for when you lower it onto the record. So that's the tracking force done, dead easy. Next we'll get the platter on and set the anti-skate. Okay, we're just going to get the platter on now. This is a belt drive turntable. And the easiest way of doing that, it's always a bit fiddly to put the belt on, but you're needing to run it around this inner rim here on the platter. I've got my finger just holding it there. We're just going to put that round, keep running it round until it's on, and then it'll stay there, and then you want to hold it round, and then from this side, pull it with your finger. Then you're going to drop it onto the spindle, and come over here to where the actual motor is. There's this little bit here. And this one doesn't have a guard or anything, some of them have a guard, and you're just on there, and that is the platter in place. So you can drop the mat in place, and then next process is to set the anti-skate, which we'll show you next. Before we move on to the anti-skate weight, I actually just wanted to show you another way of double checking that you've got the tracking force correct, and that is with a digital scale. They are really cheap to get on eBay. About £6, £6 to £8, and they are a foolproof method of checking the tracking force, and far more accurate, I find, than the little seesaw manual measuring gauges, which I can never get on with. To do this, you need to unplug the deck, otherwise we would be spinning around at the moment. And then if I lower the arm onto there, you can see it's lit up, and we're reading 1.7. That is absolutely bang on. So we know that that tracking force is absolutely correct. Obviously, if it wasn't, we could adjust the weight at the back. Okay, we're now on to anti-skate adjustment, and that's controlled by this gauge on the right-hand side of the deck here, and it has a range of 0 to 3. And if you've got no other way of measuring it, you're just going to have to set it manually, and that is set to the same measurement as for the tracking force, in this case 1.7. So I'm literally just turning here to about 1.7, and that's really set correctly. And the reason you want it set correctly is because if the arm is pulling into the centre of the record or out to the outside of the record, it's effectively putting force on the cartridge, damaging the cartridge. It will affect the sound that you get in terms of the stereo sound, and it will also, perhaps most importantly, it's going to damage your records. So getting the anti-skate correct is important. There's one other way of checking that, and that is to use an anti-skate test disc, and it's a blank LP. There's no grooves in this one, it's got a bit scratched through use. And if we test this now, what we're looking for is the arm sitting nice and steadily on the record. So if I lower this now, it is doing that. And if I adjust the anti-skate here, you'll see what happens if I turn it down, the arm starts going in. And if I turn it up the other way, it comes out. So you just want it settled nicely, and this one seems to be, that's about perfect. And it is over 2 in terms of the measurement here, but at least we know it's absolutely correct. So that is your anti-skate done correctly, and from there your record player is good to go. So I really hope you enjoy your new purchase.